Said I can't be lit 24/7, yeah. Can't take no shit before still in heaven, eh? It's gonna take more than flirting to that's why I don't hit you up that much. You gon' have to show me what's love before you just get let in. So I can't be lit 24/7, no. With a pick this big, nigga can't just get up and go. I know you want another hot girl summer, but I ain't finna hop up and hunt ya. I'ma let you drop off that number and let you get the getting. I may cuss, but I don't curse. Let's get that situated first. And this video is going to be the first of a series that I'm going to be doing relative to the chakras and how I apply them to astrology. Let me begin by saying this as well, that although there have been many terms, and there is many terms for the names of the chakras and this, that, and the third, I'm not going to butcher any of those pronunciations by trying to act like I know how to say them. And this is no disrespect to the cultures and ethnicities that have derived these terms for chakras. It's just that I'm American and this is how I do it. So I was going to do this series like repetitive, consecutively, back to back, each chakra in one video. However, I feel that there's so much that I feel is associated astrologically to the chakras that I'm going to do them one by one. So we're going to be starting with the root chakra, all right? The root chakra, which is at the base of the spine, and I associate this chakra with the moon. Now, you can and will see different revisions of the chakra system and how they are associated with the planets in astrology. And I've looked over many of those variations, and I've concluded that this one suits me best. So this is the one that I'm running with. And that's just the way that it is. Take what you can from this video. And if you disagree, just leave it. You know what I mean? So for me, this chakra is relative to the moon. First reason why I say that is because, you know, it's associated with grounding, stability, security, and the basic survival needs. In astrology, that's what the moon rules over. Just keeping it a being. So not only that, right? The moon is the most sensitive luminary in astrology. So if you look at this from like an avatar perspective, it's like if you jump into your avatar and you're able to feel something, right? A pinch, or you feel an ice cube on your skin. It's cold. You feel warmth from the oven. It's hot, right? This is the very thing that lets you at least believe that this reality is real, because you can feel. Bars are nice. We already know that. Let's get back to it. So it's like, it's a no-brainer for me to associate with the moon being relative to the root chakra. Also think about the sensation and the feeling that comes from, you know, just releasing some ball juice. Like, I'm just keeping it a bean. You know what I mean? Like, when that occurs, it's like the most euphoric and greatest feeling in the world, in existence. But it's also like the most sensitive area around your body, right? And that's at the lowest part of your body, right? Root chakra being at the base of the spine. So it's like, again, a no-brainer, right? And it's like your conscious brain witnesses the signal that your receptors, your skin, right, largest organ of the body, picks up from the environment around you. That makes you conscious of it. Like, oh, I just felt something, right? The actual feeling, though, is the moon. But that being aware of that signal is more along the lines of the sun, if you ask me, because you're being conscious of it, right? Now, Mercury processes that signal and says, oh, that's that thing that happens when something rubs up against my skin and it's so sensitive that I generate a feeling. Mercury processes that, files it away where it needs to be filed, so on and so forth. It's the moon, though, which allows you the experience to it allows you the experience and for it to be stored as a memory, right? The way that things make you feel. The moon rules over subconscious memories, so it gets filed away, right? In the back of your mind. Yeah, that happened.
Certain songs come on, we get to dancing, we get to grooving, we get to thinking about certain people we was going out when a song came out and all that. You know what I mean? That's the moon, B. This also pertains to fight or flight, right? I'm going to stay and I'm going to thug it out, or I'm just going to take off to live another day. I might come up with a strategy, come back, trap the animal, whatever the case may be, right? But this is where we pick up that sensation, right? That feeling that something is off. Intuition, right? You may not even see it. It might be 100 yards out, but you feel it. You're like, yo, something don't feel right. You know? How Shorty in the Sixth Sense movie said, when those prickly hairs on the back of your neck, that's them. You know? Sometimes you get that feeling, that eerie feeling. You're like, yo, something ain't right. You feel it. It's foresight, right? That's the moon. That's the moon. That's that root chakra. It allows you to feel and embody the sensations, to pick up the signals from the environment that's surrounding you. Now, the moon ruled by Cancer, or rules over Cancer, is the sign related to family as well. So when you release ball juice and you procreate, that brings what? More family, right? I'm just keeping it a bean. Let's not be keeping it a bean right here. So on one hand, it's a positive thing when you reminisce, right? Family moments, you get nostalgia from when you grew up and where you grew up and stuff like that. Childhood memories, all fourth house Cancer stuff, right? But key word here, root chakra, right? The roots of your what? Family. The roots of your what? Family tree, right? It all just, stop me if I'm wrong, it just makes sense to me that the root chakra is the moon. I know a lot of y'all like, no, it's Mars. Listen, B. Right? Now, let's not paint it all rainbows and sunshine, because some people have the opposite effect when it comes to their families. And they are traumatized by their family experiences, by their childhood and stuff like that, their upbringing. So their memories are not so nice, right? They didn't connect with their families like other families may have connected with their families. In fact, they may have been a disconnect so large that they have grew up to obtain their own tribes and their own families. And this is, wolves are largely associated with the folklore werewolves, right? The folklore of the moon. Werewolves howl at what? The moon, right? Wolves run in packs. They don't all come from the same bloodline necessarily, but they'll pack up and run in packs because that's just what wolves do. And then sometimes you have what? The lone wolf, right? This is sometimes the effect of broken families, broken homes. So there's an opposite effect of that as well. It's like how the moon falls in the sign Scorpio. Scorpio rules over the reproductive organs, right? Which I said are the most sensitive on the body. The genitalia is the most sensitive on the body. So when you release that bold juice, which is kind of like Scorpio poison or venom, or, you know, which is also a medicine, but we'll get to that in another time. You can see how Scorpio rules over obsession. So sometimes people become obsessed with the feeling that is generated from the experiences that they have with the environment around them. So again, you see how it makes sense with the moon falling. If you can't raise your frequency to the crown chakra, which is going to ultimately assist in survival associated with you using higher cognitive processing in the brain, so that, and I just did a tarot reading for Pisces too, go check it out if you haven't, that says, okay, yeah, I feel what I feel, I sensed what I sensed, and now I'm going to make sense of it. I don't have to react or overreact. The healthiest thing that I can do is know that I have a feeling, be honest with myself about the feeling, and now come to a sense of reasoning of what I'm going to do with the understanding of that feeling. That's crown chakra. So they're very, and which I associate with Uranus. And they're very correlated, especially when you adapt the theory that planets that transit through Aquarius behave like they're in Cancer in modern day times. That's from KRS's channel. You might have heard me quote that before in other videos. I'm always going to give credit when it's due. I've been tracking that theory. So far, very successful. But yeah, talking about the fall in Scorpio and stuff like that. The moon falls in Scorpio because the emotions fall in Scorpio. And not for nothing, what that is kind of also saying is, you know how religions have wronged the lower half of the body, have demonized the lower half of the body, which says that, you know, reproducting is wrong. It's sin. You're born in sin, which means sine wave, which is Taurian, but that's also another time for another story. Others are more isolated. They take the lone wolf route. They don't have the connection with their family that other people have, and this can lead to depression. I know a lot of people with the moon in Scorpio as well. Great people. However, I have been able to sense when they have been going through depressive bouts, and they speak about it. They're more expressive about it than Scorpio suns are, for sure. And I understand it. And it's like, you know, if they don't get the emotions reciprocated, it can become a large issue. And it's not just love, it's the emotion. Again, it's the feeling of, because love can be disciplined. Emotions is, I'm chasing that high. I want to feel that way again, and I want to feel that way with that person again as well. So you may notice, right, that think about relationships. A lot of people believe that they're in love, or under the impression that they're in love. But what it is really is toxicity. And it's trauma bonding. And that's associated with the root chakra and the moon. You may say, how? Please explain how. Please describe. I'm going to tell you how. The moon rules over connection. All right? And you connect, which is the vibe, the tribe, balls of nice. We know that already. Because of how people and things make you feel. It's just like foods, mood foods. Moods are ruled by the moon. You eat your favorite food right now, you're going to be in bliss. Oh, it's my joint. It's going to taste this way you expect it to taste. Got to get that feeling again. I ain't got to eat it twice a week. That's my jam. How Key and Peele say, that's my jam. So it's like, yo, you get that way with people in relationships sometimes too. And I know some of y'all been through it. If you haven't, buckle up. Because you get together with someone, and the way that they make you feel, the way that you make them feel, you get under the impression that it's supposed to be like that all of the time. If it doesn't go that way, something must be enormously wrong. You got to talk about it. You got to figure it out. You may panic behind it. Again, fight or flight. You may panic. What's going on? What's up with us? Da-da-da-da-da. And sometimes it could be natural, right? Understandable. However, if you get the clinging and holding on for dear life like you've lost something that you haven't lost yet, this is where the trauma bombs come in. You understand what I'm saying? This is where the toxicity comes in, because now you might react due to something that might not even be there, some type of hypochondriac thing. You understand what I'm saying? And even if it is what it is, like separation, maybe it's supposed to be separation for a moment in time, but you just can't deal with it because the moon circles and orbits and transits so quickly that you can't go a longer amount of time than the moon allows. Like another planetary transit, like if Saturn transits for 2 years, you're like, I gotta wait that long, or it gotta be that gradual, that slow, because the relationship is supposed to transition using Saturn, but you're still stuck in the moon with the trauma bonds, and you'll do whatever, like even create a scene with that person and start an argument and everything, just so you can get some type of feeling out of them to say, yo, we're still together, we're still connected. Oh, I still get to talk to you. They block you, like, yo, what? You might pop up now. It's like, yo, it's trauma bonding. It's not love. It's toxicity. It's not love. You understand what I'm saying? Can't transition in a relationship with that type of behavior. This is why the lunar, right? Lunacy. Moon gets associated with that word as well. It's because, and the reason being, right? The reason being is this. We get under the impression that this thing is so real, that these feelings are so real, that it's all that exists. It's like the Matrix, how they explain the Matrix. It's like that it's all that it exists. But when you use top-down reasoning from the crown chakra, at least if you raise the frequency up, and it's a what's that word? And it's a corresponding relationship between the chakras. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not just saying, I'm not one of those advocates of, yo, you're supposed to just get to the crown chakra, stay up in the crown chakra. And I'm not avoiding the rest of my body. I don't know about the rest of y'all, you know, because that's parallel to avoiding your feelings, not allowing yourself to feel what it is that you feel. No, you're supposed to feel what you feel because the sensory mechanisms of it is going to allow you to process data in your brain to allow you to know who you truly are. So feelings do have something to do with your DNA and who you truly are. It's just how much do you feel that this is real, to the point where you react instead of respond. Reacting is react. You know, action gets taken quickly, right? And Mars is going to be the next planet that I talk about. Like, that's the next move up the rung of the chakra system, because that's where the action gets taken. That's where the fire gets to rising from the emotion to where you take action. But when you respond, ponder, you re-ponder on what it is that you've just felt through the emotion. And then you say, oh, okay, I'm gonna say it this way and that way because of the feeling, right? And let's get back to more about how the moon falls in Scorpio. Feelings of jealousy derive from there. Oh, if I can't have you, nobody else can have you. No one else should have you. You talking about? You know how people be like, yo, if you throw that ass back to anybody else like that, like, it's going to be an issue. It's going to be a problem. And you might think it's cute. That's a trauma bond. They may think it's cute, the way that they said it. Trauma bond. They may be dead ass, though. Next thing you know, you in an abusive relationship. Some of y'all love that, too. Some of us love that. I be trying to exclude myself. Don't do that. I get, all right. You know, you grow as you go. Pause. But you want to master your emotions. And the way that that's done is, I'm going to primarily talk about the association between the root chakra and the third eye chakra first, and then the rising to the crown chakra. Reason being, the moon rules over subconscious mind, subconscious memories. And the third eye is the subconscious. That throne, that seat. So what happens here is, you get these feelings that are stored in your subconscious memory to the point where you're supposed to be able to access them when experiences get repetitive. Life is so much about cycles, it's almost ridiculous. And those types of behaviors that create the types of emotions that you've already experienced are bound to come around again. And will you be ready for them? How will you be ready for them? If you do a lot of third eye meditations and dreaming and, you know, practices relative to the third eye, you'll see that a lot of information will be stored there for you. I know I, for one, get a lot of information from my dreams that prepares me for these types of things. But it also, one thing about the moon that you can find out, and this is from like I guess you could say the most negative emotions, like depression, isolation, comes from the moon too as well. Because isolation is ruled by the 12th house. The 12th house is ruled by the subconscious mind, and the moon rules over the subconscious mind. Therefore, when you see in tarot decks, when the moon is drawn, they'll say it's a Pisces card instead of a Cancer card. And there is a connection between the two signs, but that's why it's done that way. That isolation lets you know that you're alone. So, you know, sometimes I talk about the hologram. Other people online speak about the hologram more often now. And it's like, just imagine that you had the button to shut off all of the other frequencies around you. It would just be you in some like green screen room that goes on for eternity, right? And no one else around you. And that's what depression can feel like, from isolation. If there's no one to communicate with, there's no one to learn from. There's nothing to learn from. It's just blank, right? So imagine that feeling. And that's also how the moon falls in Scorpio, because when you think about it, the reproductive system affords us the opportunity to be able to communicate with other people, because we do reproduce through the reproduction system, right? Without it, what are we left with? Nothing but depression, nothing but isolation. And if we become obsessed with this reality, you see where that goes? So, you make the distinctions. You know what I mean? Now, I want to also say this, right? Think about the month, right? Associated with the moon, right? That's where the word derives from. When do you get your bills? Get your bills every month. Why do you think they do that? Why do you think merchants do that? Why don't you get billed? Well, some bills are annually, right? That'll be associated with the sun. But what bill comes every 2 years? Associated with Saturn. Shouldn't work bills come every 2 years? That's what Saturn rules over, right? Or grocery bills, shouldn't we get a certain amount of groceries for 2 years stored up on some card or some chip somewhere? You got the technology to do it now. Where's that at? Right? Even menstrual cycles associated with the moon. Root chakra. It's proven that women's periods are known to sync up. Y'all ever hear that? Ladies, get in the comment section if you heard. Like, y'all could be hanging around each other and the next thing you know, y'all all get periods at the same time. That's what that means. Like, there's studies on it. I'm not bullshitting. Kid you not. We also track the moon for synchronicities, epiphanies. You could track the moon right now, and I bet you today you'll find something associated with the moon being in Virgo. I believe that's where it's at right now when I'm making this video. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at with it right here. You know, if you feel that I left something out, get in the comment section. Let me know. I may double back. But if you're feeling this, if you're feeling this whole vibe, if you're feeling this whole angle, also let me know. You know what I mean? So we can continue to learn. Again, the next chakra is going to be based upon Mars, because I feel that's where the impulsive action gets taken when we don't know how to properly process the feeling that we just had, to raise it up to the crown chakra and say, is this a sound decision to make or not? But I ain't going to drag this no longer than it needs to be dragged. Until next time, I'm out.